Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. My name is Laura. Thank you for being here with us. Today we want to show you how we make our pumpkin pie. So stick around for a very exciting and delicious recipe. I want to let you in on a little secret. We don't actually use pumpkin to make pumpkin pie. We learned about this trick many years ago from a baker at a farmer's market, and he told us that most pumpkin pies that we buy in the store are made from butternut squash. And ever since we started using butternut squash to make our pumpkin pie, it has been amazing. So there you go, take it or leave it. Obviously, if you prefer to use pumpkin for this recipe, it will be prepared in the same exact way as the butternut squash. So first, we cut the butternut squash in two halves and scooped out all the seeds, and we roasted it in the oven for about an hour or until the flesh is soft and you can pierce it with a fork. We let the butternut squash cool down a little bit, and while that's happening, Glenn is going to be making the crust for the pie. This crust is incredibly easy. I love that we don't have to worry about chilling the dough or par baking the crust. None of those extra steps. Our family doesn't eat wheat products, so we are making this crust with almond flour. I will leave the full recipe in the description below. For one pie, we are using 1.5 cups of almond flour, 1/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 a teaspoon of melted ghee, and 2 eggs. That's it. It is important to grease the pie pan, and we do that with ghee or coconut oil. All the ingredients need to be incorporated to form a nice dough that will be used for the pie crust. The consistency will feel soft. It is definitely not dry, but it might feel a little bit crumbly, and that's okay. We have tried in the past to roll out this dough in between 2 parchment papers, and you can certainly do that, and it's worked fine, but we found that it tears when we do that. So it's actually easier for us to just take little bits of dough and press them on the pan to form the crust. This way, we don't have to worry about having to roll the dough evenly on all sides and taking out extra equipment like parchment paper or a rolling pin, and it's just an extra process. We do have to make sure that every bit of the pie pan is covered and that we are not leaving any holes in the crust. So over the years, we found that we like this method better. It doesn't make for a super smooth crust, but we are okay with it. The taste is still amazing. Once the crust is ready, we just set it aside. It's time to get the pie filling going. And once the butternut squash has cooled, it's easy to remove the flesh from the skin, so we can just scoop out everything from the butternut squash and throw it into our Vitamix. We are using one of the butternut squash that we grew this year, and it is such an amazing feeling to be able to cook not only from scratch, but also from the foods that we are growing in our backyard. Last year, we specifically grew sugar pie pumpkin, which is supposed to be the best for pumpkin pie, and I was very disappointed with the result. It does not compare to butternut squash. That's why this year we decided not to grow any pumpkins, just butternut squash, because we can use it for making pies as well. If you have been following our channel for some time, you may know that our family follows a GAPS diet, and this pie is GAPS diet approved. We have been making it for over 10 years, and it has been amazing because it allows us to feel like we're not missing out on the holiday festivities. Because this is a GAPS diet approved pumpkin pie, you will notice that it has a lot of healing and nutrient dense ingredients, and that is one of the best parts about it. We will need 2 cups of this butternut squash puree, and we will throw it right back into the Vitamix. You can certainly use a food processor or even a mixer, but because we already have the Vitamix out, it is so much easier to just throw all the ingredients in there and blend them together. Glenn is adding a cup of cultured cream. In the past, we've made it with a cup of our 24-hour yogurt, but right now one of our sons is not able to tolerate yogurt. He can only tolerate cultured cream. So we are using cream instead, and the results are not affected by it. As a matter of fact, Glenn thinks it might have been enhanced by it. but just know that this can definitely be made with yogurt instead. Now he is adding 4 duck eggs. Even though we have chickens in our backyard, one of our sons is not able to tolerate chicken eggs right now, and he can only eat duck eggs. I've mentioned in a previous video that it's been such a challenge to find duck eggs that are 100% corn-free and soy-free and pasture-raised. After months of searching, I was able to find a farm in Pennsylvania that ships duck eggs and so many other amazing farm products right to your home. Check the description box if you're interested. Just about the only sweetener that is allowed in the GAPS diet is honey, and that is what we are using today to make this pie. We are using close to a cup, but you can probably get away with 3/4 of a cup. Glenn will be the first to admit that he likes his dessert sweet, so he probably added more than is necessary. And because we only eat desserts like this only a few times a year, we are okay with the extra sweet. The rest of the ingredients are just salt, cinnamon, ground cloves, and nutmeg, and all of those will go right into the Vitamix. That's all there is to it. This is so simple. I think sometimes we tend to think that making things from scratch are a lot more complicated, but they're actually not. Not only are they simple, but they are so much healthier for you. This will be the perfect amount for one pie filling, but keep in mind that I am using a Pyrex. I've noticed that when I've used the tinfoil pie pans, they are a little bit smaller and they're not able to hold the entire amount of filling. In that case, whatever leftover we have of the pie filling, we put it in either a ramekin or a small Pyrex pan and put it in the oven along with the pie, and it cooks just like a crustless pie or a custard, and it is just delicious. This will go to an oven that has been preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and will cook for about an hour, maybe even more. For some reason, it's never been consistent for us, but we do just have to keep an eye on it and check. We know it's ready when we insert a knife in the center and the knife comes out clean. We tried something different this year. After the pie filling was completely cooked through, we actually left the pie in the oven and we just turned the heat off. When we took it out of the oven, it had this amazing caramelized layer on top of the pie. And we also noticed that the pie didn't crack like it did in previous years. We will definitely keep doing that again. By the way, I am the main cook in our home, but Glenn definitely loves to bake. Don't get me wrong, he often helps out in the kitchen, and there are days when he will cook dinner by himself and let me take a break. But when it comes to baking, he is the master. He loves to try new things, he loves to experiment, and he has even created some of his own recipes. I keep trying to tell him that he needs to write things down, but he just likes to throw things together and make some delicious desserts. Okay, it is time for you to taste your creation.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to try some. This is like one of my favorite ones that we make.
And this is the first pie of this year.
Yeah. It's good. It's cozy and it's sweet. It's really delicious. Yes, really, really good.
We have been making this pie for years, and every time we've shared with family and friends, it has always been a hit. So if you are trying to stay away from gluten, sugar, or any of those other not so good ingredients, give this recipe a try because it is so good.
Yeah, it is absolutely delicious. It's just so good. It'll be a great hit at your parties.
You are really going to enjoy it. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time.